Hi, David.
How goes it today?
Didn't get much of a good sleep last night. Don't know why. I should have slept the clock round after the drive I did yesterday, but there you go.
We're getting a lot of 3 and 24s coming through in the comments, David.
Hang on. I've got feedback here. There we go. Sorry, I'm taking them off. That's a YouTube stream happening. Let's just go down the names. We have Wee Bird, that was an early bird. Rebecca McDougall, Eddie Wolfie, the Scotsman Independence.
Right, that's Facebook sorted out.
Barbara Lansborough, Murder She Wrote, she's on, right? Hi Barbara, how you doing? Sandra Miller, Chris Fisher. Chris, you're getting off a tardy these days. You need to sharpen your axe a wee bit, oh boy. Chris Fisher. I got Lorraine Hay, Mr. E. Wasn't Mr. E the horse that talked on TV? Yeah. Ah, right, okay. Margaret Noakes.
Dylan's in.
Linda Piper. Duncan McKerracher. Eddie Wolfie. Lorraine Hay. David Roach. Alexander Thompson. Where did we go? It all jumped up on me.
That's the first to Facebook and with Austin Butler.
Yeah.
And Rosie's in and all.
Filling your Willie's bucket. I love that. That's good.
Hi, Tommy.
Elizabeth Camper Brown. Stuart Crocker. Margaret McKean, Donald Sampson, Gordon McKenzie. 53 seconds late. Nearly naughty step time. Hey, I'm telling you, Gordon McKenzie, you're on the naughty step, my boy. In actual fact, can we see the naughty step? Oh yes, the candle's burning. Yep.
Candle's always burning for democracy, David.
Singed bums all round.
Yep. Anyway, it's getting busy. Remember, folks, nearly time for a Chain of Freedom. Get registered, and I'll probably see some of you in Falkirk at the weekend. Dylan, can you get your dad to send me a personal message? I need to speak to him, son. All right. I'll use. Thanks. So Chain of Freedom, folks, www.chainoffreedom.scot. Get registered.
Yeah, really mega important.
Now, anybody up there in the northeast can help us out. Anybody that lives in the northeast, contact me with the name of a local food bank, because the big food initiatives up there and the wee ones that I've contacted don't want our money. They'll never get back to us.
We don't understand.
The northeast who knows of a local food bank who would take the money from us, here's the details, will you?
Yeah.
Failing that, I'll go somewhere along the central belt again. I want to get it further out. We managed to get money into Dundee, no bother. Come on, Aberdeen. Come on, Fraserburgh. Come on, Stonehaven. Come on, Arbroath. Come on, Brecon. Come on, Montrose. Somebody gave some details. We'll get some money out to use people. Yeah. Right, David, we're well up over 100 mark.
Yep.
So
let's
get at it. So let's start with trust. Now we know what the whole point is.
Yeah.
We know what the point was.
We all watched her with a wee wrinkle in our foreheads the other day there. She was out talking about the next 10 years and that she had made slight mistakes, but really nothing really too much to be bothered about. She some mention about cooking the pig before she put it in the mud or something like that. Anyway,
fattening the pig herself, slaughtering herself, eating it herself.
Yeah, it was a wee bit crazy, right? So the simple thing to do is ask you, what do you think it was about, David?
Hi, Karen. I did have to leave on Saturday. Sorry about that. I think it was all about. I know what it's all about, David. Right. But let's get a wee bit more into what she had to say. her policies and her idea of saving the West is to shrink the state, shrink state pensions, batter benefit claimants, roll back an environmental and a net zero,
reduce taxes,
reduce taxes across the board. That's right. Basically, open the markets up. But the irony of it is, Brexit put a big boot into her policies anyway, because they shut the bloody market down.
Yeah. I mean, give you a simple one that everybody was sort of going, oh, when they heard about, like everybody, like in my position where we've got a limited company, right? And they were talking about putting corporation tax up to 25%, I think it was.
Aye.
But in actual fact, it's like I was at 19%, and it stayed at 19%. As long as you're under a certain level of turnover, it stays there,
The
So,
other thing today, of course, was up retirement age to 70.
yeah, which
but
crazy.
the reason why she was given airtime at the Institute for Government, well, she's trying to resurrect her career.
Yeah.
Right? And it appears she's been given some assistance.
Yes.
She's had elocution lessons.
Mm-hmm.
She's had public speaking lessons. She actually, if you watched the 1 hour and 29 minutes, it was absolutely outrageous. If you watched it, she was actually quite confident. She didn't come across like the robot she was before and things like that. Yeah. Right? And if you were stupid enough to believe the crap, that she was coming away with, and there was quite a few big hitters in the room that did, I believe the crap that she's coming away with. Farage was in the room. Some of the biggest Brexit backers were in the room. Anyway, the reason why she's been given a chance to rehabilitate herself is because when Sunak gets his bahookie kicked out after leadership of the Tory party, the front runners are all brown.
Yes.
And as Liz managed to beat Sunak because the Tory members are quite white supremacist imperialists,
yes.
That's why she got voted in as Prime Minister the last time with the party membership, because she's white. Yeah. As we know, Penny Mordaunt could well have a tilt of this and all, but at this point in time, she doesn't look as if she wants to. Yeah. Or she's not saying she's Bonnie. Right? So what the idea is, take advantage of the Tory party and the racism within the Tory party to punch her way back to the top.
Here we are again.
But of course, Truss's intervention in a right-wing lunacy leads to what we seen yesterday. Which brings us on to subject number 2, Sunak and rolling back a net zero.
What's this about a tax on meat? I didn't know there was going to be a tax on meat, and he abolished something that I didn't think he'd put in place.
He hadn't put it in place. He was telling you, I'm abolishing this, and I'm abolishing that, and I'm chucking this out the window, that out the window. None of it was on the bloody table. But
also, he said he was abolishing the 7 bins that we have to take out. Now, I counted them. That I've got a grey bin, a brown bin, and a blue bin. Right? That's 3. Isn't it? Aye, 1, 2, 3.
Right, you've got to remember, David, there are 7. I think the point was, let's get back to more about the whole point of his speech yesterday was, and that was because he's seen Truss coming up on the right.
Yeah.
And she was advocating shoving back on net zero. Now, he stood there and told us that the UK only produces 1% of the world's climate carbon. 1% of the carbon emissions worldwide. So he says, why should ordinary people be forced to pay for a change? But the reason he did it was because of what Truss had said. Right, so we'll get to the lies in a minute. Let's try and keep this in a wee bit order of his speech, right? So he then goes on to tell us that he's scrapping to ditch the requirement for people to upgrade their boilers for gas to heat pump, telling us that people can't afford that. Yeah. He's done away with all rules on having to insulate houses, including social housing. So you don't have to have warm homes anymore. You can just fucking freeze or watch your electricity bills climb like mad. And he's also pushed further out the times when new car sales and diesel and petrol will stop. And this actually manages to send the car manufacturers after heats. They have invested billions in getting this gig transferred to electric by 2030 or hydrogen by 2030. Right, so he scrapped all that. Right, he's pushed it into the long grass sort of thing. Thanks, Dylan. He shoved it into the long grass sort of thing. And they say this all had to do with Truss's intervention. And what he was saying was, well, we're only following what other European countries have set their targets at. You know, their target in any rule of Italy and that. He then went on to tell us about he's been in the idea of compulsory car share. It was never on the table. He's been in the idea of meat tax because apparently we need to change our diet, was never on the table. And we wouldn't just, even if there was a meat tax introduced here, it wouldn't make any difference. Because, you know, it wouldn't make any difference to get to emissions because what we didn't buy here would be sold abroad. Yeah. No, mental. He then goes on to talk about the 7 bins, right? And binning the need for 7 bins, which was never there. What he was actually talking about is there's 7 main types of waste recognised in the UK, right? I had a look at them last night, pretty tedious stuff, but food waste, oil product wastes, glass waste, plastic waste, timber waste. It's broken into categories for recycling sort of thing, you know, 7 types of waste. So
thanks, Dylan. That's
I put it up, David.
199, yeah.
Apparently it's pinned and all. I don't know how I managed to pin it, but it's pinned and all. But thanks, Dylan. Now, as I say, all this crap about he's scrapping all these regulations that didn't exist, and he's scrapping all these rules. And he's had to come out and defend himself this morning. When reporter after reporter after reporter said, what's this about scrapping this, that, and the next time? It's on the table. They ain't going to talk about the scientific, the global warming scientific research, statutory research group, which advises government. And apparently there's some papers floating about all that out there, but these things were all suggested. And the government, but this statutory group only advises the government. The government didn't have to take it up, right? So there's a lot of stuff flying about, but the real damage he did, because it will cost people more in the long run, is scrap the warm home scheme, which was done way back under Cameron as well. And they say don't need to change your boiler until it's chucked in, and even then you can replace it like for like.
I don't know if people know this, but in actual fact, even our boiler is well over 25 years old. And if you go through the instruction book, you can actually do a mixture of hydrogen and any other gases, you know, a few other different types of gases.
Butane or propane and things like that.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, the boilers that we've got are far more able to do things like that than we think. So if you do get a chance, dig out your instruction book for your old boiler, gas boiler, and find out.
I wouldn't know. I've got a well electric system, David. As you know, it's modern. They get serviced each year. It's only it is. I think I put it in 2006 actually, so it's getting on a bit.
That used to be a boast. That I remember my mother going about and going, "Yes, we're all electric now."
Aye.
She wouldn't be boasting about it now with the.
While Sunak's making an arse of himself, the OECD releases their report into the Brexit debate. Yeah. Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it, but it's to be honest with you, it's like you can imagine they're all over bits of it like a rash. Yeah.
I'm going to cut to the summation at the end, which was funny as hell, is the OECD advised other OECD member companies that are parts of trading blocks.
Yeah.
Not to leave the trading block.
Yeah.
Don't put up trade barriers and integrate your markets. It was the UK. So what's learned? What have everybody else in the OECD learned for Brexit? One is you don't put up trade barriers to yourself because it's like shooting yourself in the bloody heat.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a trading block, stick with it, change it from within.
Yeah.
And the third one it advises people today is to integrate their markets so that their countries will get a chance of selling their goods more widely. Or corporate crap right enough, but you know, it's still quite funny to watch the OECD. There's also a dozen or so chaps in there showing the economic damage.
if I remember correctly, OECD, there's 35 countries that take part in the OECD, right?
Aye,
How many of them are part of BRICS?
I bet there's a wider number as well who are associates. It takes up to about 190.
No, but I'm saying I wonder how many are part of BRICS now. Because that of what they're saying about Brexit, right? You can imagine that there will be a degree of that going on within BRICS, where what they're doing is they're opening up new markets. Yeah,
right. The clamour is to join BRICS, of course, because everybody wants access to China. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Everybody wants access to India. Let's face it. It's the two biggest markets on the planet.
Yeah.
But
I mean, India are certainly making it into the newspapers, aren't they? They've landed on the moon. They've shot a Sikh abroad.
Canadian citizen.
Yeah.
Started the war with Justin Trudeau. Started the war of words with Justin Trudeau over it, isn't it? They're expelling diplomats left, right, and centre, the Indians and the Canadians.
Yeah.
But anyway, the summation of it was quite funny. But in the actual report itself, there's chart after chart after chart showing what an economic disaster this has been.
Oh, I can imagine. Being the OECD, basically Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development. So you can imagine graphs are us.
and some of them are fascinating. The shrinking exports to the EU, and they're no improvement anywhere else to the rest of the world. How the new trade deals are going to impact on UK commerce. How stupid it was to put up trade barriers with the EU on goods and services. Inflation rate, all sorts of graphs in there, and to be honest with you, it was
I think $4.99.
Hold on, has he got a question on it, David? You've got to be careful there.
Where in Falkirk is the Indy March going to take place?
Dylan, I'm afraid you're not get your dad to Google it. If you're going, I'll hopefully see you, because I've got a wee surprise for you, Dylan. Right? So get your dad to go into all under one banner website, son. Right?
Sorry, sorry about that.
It was absolutely hilarious reading.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious.
The OECD, I thought it was really, really funny. At one time, we were looking at the OECD, and the UK was one from bottom on the amount they paid in pension, state pension.
Yes,
the bottom one was Mexico, right? And Mexico raised theirs by 1%, and it made us the bottom.
Well, that's all. Listen, that's all in their support and all that, and how it's going to impoverish people, how living standards are going backwards. You know what the OECD is? They don't miss a bloody tick. And it's if it wasn't for the fact that we're still in this bloody union, I'd have been rolling about laughing. But in certain sections of it, especially in the middle of the night when I'm reading this stuff,
how I long for the day when I can drive down to the border and see the chain link fence and just stand at the northern side of that chain link fence and laugh my bloody head off.
Anyways, when you're sitting considering these reports, and we know that we're stuck in this bloody union for the time being, I mean, looking at some of the information in it and how it's going to impact people. I mean, they cover how our energy bills are 7% higher than Spain's, and 8% higher than France, and 5% higher, and it's all blamed on Brexit. In this report, I'm sitting there in the middle of the night, as you know what I do, David, and I mean, at some point you had to cry, absolutely cry. The economic stupidity of these fuckheads down that road it's just beyond the pale. They really don't give a shite about people.
Correct.
I mean, look at the last 13 years, and then look at what did yesterday. What did Ford and the big car manufacturers say about what Sunak did yesterday? They said it was economic stupidity. It's going to send the economy backwards.
Do you think you think it'll stop people buying electric vehicles or milk floats, as I like to call them?
For the time being, aye, but you know what's worse than that is? Seaman 2030, it just means that it's going to take a lot longer for second-hand electric vehicles to get into the market, which means people are not going to be able to afford transport.
David, I've got a bit of reality for you. We're all fucked because the 1% that own the biggest chunk of money that's going are not interested. They've got a rocket planted somewhere, ready to bloom and light the blue touch paper, so they can fly to another planet when it all goes away.
There may be many nice chunks of land that are likely to suffer from climate change. So why do you think this mob did the road, the 1% here, trying to turn the UK into a big fucking fortress where they can keep their green land? Sunak just mentioned some of that yesterday and all. Anyway,
no, hang on. What was that I heard? Somebody was saying that farmers are actually being paid to wild their farms. So in other words, don't bother planting anything, just let it go to grass and all the rest of it.
Right? A food security crisis, that's right. They're being paid to wild their land, that's right.
You know, so is this the intent? Is to have it whereby people are going to starve? End of.
Get rid of wasted population, put a big fortress around the place. Climate change isn't going to affect us that much.
Well, you know, it's like, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but isn't it time that we actually got out?
We've got a lot to get through, David, so we better press on. Right, so the OECD's report on Brexit, folks, go and have a look at it. It's hilarious.
Yes.
Right, anyway.
The next one's even funnier.
Aye, Starmer this week talking about rewriting the deal with the EU.
Yeah.
Let's sort out what a liar this plank is. I mean, we think Sunak's a liar and a con man. This guy's a... Actually, tell him what's actually happening in 2025, David.
What do you mean? Sorry, I missed that bit. I didn't get that memo.
Starmer was talking about renegotiating the existing deal with the EU.
Yes, that's what I didn't know you were talking about. Right. Effectively, what the guy's doing is he's going to be stronger than the Tories, and he's going to get back in and renegotiate the whole thing, the whole Brexit deal end to end.
It's a lie, David. Oh, man. It's a lie because it's not an opportunity to renegotiate the deal. It's a review of the existing deal to see what's working and what's not working and to tweak it slightly. There is no EU are not interested in getting into a new debate and a new set of trade negotiations with the UK.
The EU aren't interested in so much as a tweak.
But the point is, this man is telling the British public he's going to rewrite the Brexit deal. It's not up for rewriting.
He's not.
He's a liar.
Yeah, he's not. As simple as that.
And he's a liar for a very simple, fundamental reason. It's not up for rewriting. It's up for review.
Yeah, I think the best word we came up with was pish.
Pish, that's right.
Yeah.
He's talking pish. He hasn't got the option of rewriting the deal or renegotiating the deal. They'll have a look at what the existing trade and cooperation deal is looking like, and then they'll look at wee bits and say, that's not working quite right with the NI protocol or Windsor, whatever you want to call it now, and tweak it a wee bit.
Here's the thing that I've thought about over the course of the last week is that their Starmer is pushing people to the right, yeah. So what's happening is his party are being dragged to the right with their policies and all the rest of it, right? So what's happening is he's got to the point where he's in the straight. There's Tories, there's where Labour was, and eventually it's got to the line where the Tories are, right? And what's going to happen is the Tories are going to come back this way and leave Labour as being the right-wing party in the UK.
Yeah.
Oh, dear goodness.
As I say, what he's really doing, and it's important that we talk about this, is he's misleading. He's gaslighting the people doing that road the same way Sunak gaslighted everybody yesterday.
Yeah.
He's gaslighting the public down there. What's going to be kept in mind squarely here, folks, especially as he's running about Rutherglen and Hamilton West, which we'll get to shortly. He's running about there telling them that he's going to bring a better deal for the EU and get us closer aligned to the EU.
Yeah,
no, he's not.
but David, I mean, some of we've got Owen Jones, is it one of the commentators?
Aye, Owen Jones.
He's saying, right, I'm thinking of voting Green. And you've got the other guy from he does the Union video, right? And what he's doing is he's attacking both Tory, which he used to do in the past, and Labour.
Yeah.
So there's now a change in all these different talking heads that we see.
Aye, and what you would remember is doing that road. Don't get me wrong, there's still some powerful commentators out there that follow a different bias and super Tansky and that who advocate and vote Labour no matter what they stand for. You know what I mean? I mean, Phil a different bias, to be fair. I mean, there's magic stuff on Brexit, but Phil tends to have this idea that the minute Starmer's in office, he's going to march to the left. Don't know what gives him that fucking impression.
Okay.
You know?
Right. So,
I mean, Starmer is the establishment.
Yes.
Is the establishment. They're closing the name.
Yeah.
And the establishment don't want change.
Yeah.
Starmer will go in there and protect the 1% and the power, privilege and patronage of that fucking place.
Yeah.
When it needs pulled down.
Starmer, I actually believe he will be the one that's wearing Union Jack underwear.
Aye.
So.
Or maybe a t-shirt so you can go like Super Starmer.
Yeah, aye.
Anyway, let's move on.
Sunak and his wife is like they wear the Indian flag. That's it, I believe.
I don't want to tell you Urwally's bucket, but David watched it last night. He said it was a bloody debacle.
Oh, the last female that commented. I don't know if you get this on these programs. It goes round, and the man in the white shirt. He says his bit, right, and eventually, okay, well, we'd like to thank you for joining us this evening, right? And the final word will go to whatever her name was, right? And this woman started spouting off about her mother. That her mother had a heart attack, and she had to go into hospital for a check. It was like a day, not a day surgery, but you actually go in for a day and get tested and all the rest of it, right? And her mother had contacted her and said, "I'm cold, and they're not feeding me." Well, if you're in for tests during the day, it's not something they tend to do. There's a canteen, right? If you're cold, why not wearing a coat? When you just in your bra and knickers or something like that, right? But anyway, so this woman said, "Oh, it's ridiculous. The SNP have blooming torn our National Health Service apart, the rest of it, right?" And everybody, I think, that was watching that had the same idea. If you think your mother is being neglected to that extent, why are you at this show? Why are you giving your opinion at this show? Why are you not there at the hospital looking after her?
Aye.
Yet again, another ringer. And I would say this time, definitely, she was a Labour plant. Looking at her and listening to what she was saying,
that's one of the reasons why I'm still watching the reruns on YouTube. There's more plants in the audience, but there's people. It should be botanic gardens, for fuck's sake. Yeah. Let's move on. Anyway, it's been reported Rupert Murdoch to stand down, and the News Corp, being the chairman of Fox News, and to stand back to News Corp. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I don't actually think people at Rupert Murdoch retire. I don't think there comes a point when they get the box out and the gold watch. There you are, Rupert. You've done very well all these years, and we'd like to present you with. So these people don't retire. What they do is they just back off a little bit, and then what they do is they create the influence in different influence behind different people, if you like. So in other words, their effect is the same. So Rupert Murdoch, in my humble opinion, is going to be as much a twisty bastard in the future as he has in the past. How's about that?
Aye, and it's all to do with the influence. I mean, if you take Murdoch and the press, we go to the ballot boxes, but we don't decide who the government's going to be. That's the press that do that. They're the ones that push them. So the reason why we've had 13 years of Tory madness is because of Lord Rothermere, who lives in France, Rupert Murdoch, who lives in bloody Australia, Alexander and Gebney, Ledwig,
And the two Bartley brothers, the two Bartley brothers live on Guernsey, right? So I think it's Guernsey element.
Richard Desmond, who runs the Star, the Express, the Looney Rags. I don't know where the hell he is, but he's another offshorer. And David and Frederick Bartley. These are the people who decide who gets elected and who doesn't. You know, that's the very fact of it. I mean, we all put into the ballot box with preconceived ideas of what a political party is because of the piss pumped out in the press. It's one of the reasons why we have to do these things. It's one of the reasons why we have independent media on social media, so we can break down the piss in the press and tell you the truth.
If you want confirmation of what that's about, download and watch practically any of the Derren Brown shows, where what he does is he gets an audience to come into the theatre, right? And what he'll do is, give me the first number you think of, and it all comes out, everybody's thinking 3. That's because he's had the number 3 imprinted on blooming walls and all the rest of it as they walked into the theatre. That's how they do it. They actually, it's a method of programming you. To get outside that programming, you've got to be clever and you've got to work your way out of it. It's as simple as that.
MC, I'm not going to. We don't know what's in Epstein's black book.
Yeah,
Rupert's in there, and I wouldn't know. I don't know what's in it, and I'm not going to libel myself by saying that because the one is broadcasting, and so is David. Right, so Murdoch, we don't really think, but the interesting bit is will his successor, G. Starmer, the same sort of run that Rupert's given him. You know, because let's face it, apparently Starmer lives in Rupert Murdoch's office.
Yeah, don't know about that.
Right, here's one that's not going to take long to cover because it's really quite boring. But Tommy Shepherd, MP, has put together a report into Scotland's 78 peers and said none of them are representative of the people of Scotland. And he's got a good point because 17 of them are hereditary peers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they just get a place automatically. But out of the rest of them, all right, 10% of Tories, we don't vote Tory. 7% of them are Lib Dem, we don't vote Lib Dem. And 73% of them are Labour, we don't vote Labour. Right? Believe it or not, between them they managed to claim 2.3 million in expenses, 22 to 23. Isn't that interesting? But the other interesting thing about it is, right, 65% of them are white, privately educated males. So, I mean, Tommy's report isn't a surprise, right? But the reason why his report says they're no representative is because we don't vote for the people who are in there as peers. We don't vote for the parties, haven't they done for years?
The best thing we can do is get rid of them, guys.
But what's interesting to me is
the only way to do that is to vote yes for independence, to vote SNP in a general election.
Hold on a wee minute. The interesting point about the whole report for me was that 73% of the Lords for Scotland are for the Labour Party. What happened to the party of the people and know the establishment?
Yes. Aye. Well, we know that's a load of fish as well.
Aye, we seen me George Folks and Alistair Darling, people like that in the 70s claiming they'd never take a fucking seat in that house. That they would reform it, they'd get rid of it. Hey, where's me pishy pants and Alistair Darling now?
How long has the Labour Party been going to reform the House of Lords? 1911, wasn't it? 1911. Yeah.
The bill, the first Scottish Home Rule Bill was given the green light in 1911. Yeah. Before it could be actually legislated on properly and put into effect.
Yeah.
The First World War come along. Shelved. No.
Anyway,
right. Anyway, so what we're being told is that these peers don't represent us. We know that.
There are certain of the peers I've listened to, like the wee lady from, she's got a New Zealand accent. or a bit of Australian type accent. I've heard her. She's quite good. So I'm not gonna demonize every one of them because there are certain of them that have got good intent. Yeah, but the absolute majority, are a waste of time.
I think the whole chambers. I'd like to say the chambers are a waste of time, but we've seen lately that they have certain powers and can put checks and balances in place. But the point is, that should be an elected chamber that does that.
That's right. Yeah.
And it should be an elected chamber there that's to protect the constitution, which isn't written down that road.
That's the problem. When you've got a non-written constitution where it's based upon maybe laws that have been passed, things like that, it means it's something that's malleable. And who are the people that are doing the malleabling are the bad guys, are the people that have got something to gain by twisting it about. Yeah? Like Alistair Jack. Alistair Jack seems to use Section 35 as an on-off button.
Yeah. Well, right. Bank of England leave interest rates at 5.25%, as we heard today. And that's because inflation apparently has dropped by 0.2% to 6.9%.
Before you get out the door and start running about going yippee in the street, think it this way. It went up last time they did it, right? And everybody was in tears. You should still be in tears because it hasn't gone down. It stayed the same, at the same high level.
But the trajectory is about to hit a bounce, David. And we know it's about to hit a bounce for two major reasons. Oil prices are rising. Prices at the pump are up 14 pence in a month.
You know how much I paid per litre diesel yesterday in Bristol?
Much.
£1.86.
Wow. Anyway, that's still to factor through, and of course we've got the energy price hike coming in October that will factor in. So we are going to stay up with the the high sixes. It might even climb back into mid 7.5% or thereabouts. You know, which is no bad because I actually forecast, and that's one to tick up in my wee book that I got. I actually forecast it would be up at 8.7, but that's because the checks that were supposed to come in on imports in October, they've been kicked into the long grass again. But as we know, the government said that would only be a 0.2% inflationary pressure. You and I know that would be false. We also know that it would shoot up. It would force up food price inflation again because getting food across the border would be harder.
Well, you know, when you look at all these things, all the things that are happening, that have been happening, it's crazy. You know, I'm just going to give you an example here. The hidden reality. I watch what is termed the mainstream media, you know, BBC News, Sky News, etc., slowly pulling the wool over the eyes of people who just don't know any better and won't try to find out the truth and see any chance that Scotland will manage to break free and become independent dissolve, because many of them see the rise of Labour as the antidote to the Tories and will use their vote stupidly to replace one right-wing party with another. Therefore, while some of us watch people being thrown from their homes or freeze due to massive energy costs or have to find other ways to get to work because they can't afford to fill their petrol tanks in their cars, not to mention the awful increase in food shopping. While some of us watch the politicians from the English political parties in their own devolved parliament in Edinburgh revel in telling us it's all about councils being starved of funds by the SNP or the Greens, and saying that the SNP Greens have mismanaged everything, including the Scottish NHS that has outperformed other NHSs in the UK. At least the great unwashed, that is people that do not have a lot of money, power or social status, will have Strictly, Corrie, EastEnders or a footy to divert their minds from the humanitarian disaster that's unfolding just a couple of feet from their front door. That's all I'm doing.
Anyway, the whole point you're making there is he who holds the purse strings.
Yeah.
You know, we boy in the debate night, I seen a clip in the National and he's saying the judiciary's fully devolved a mess. It's not a mess. In fact, we just spoke about crime being done, the NHS being a mess and education being a mess, and blaming it all squarely at the feet of the SNP because these areas are fully devolved. Stupid! Nothing's fully devolved. The man who holds the fucking purse strings decides what can be spent. Wow. So there is nothing fully devolved. You can say this is devolved. It's only devolved if you're financing it yourself.
Right.
Anyway, right, so that's the Bank of England. They're holding it the base rate at 5.25%, as if that's going to be any help. Inflation apparently is dropping. Food price inflation still rampant.
As we've said in the past, inflation is something that affects each and every single one of us individually. It's like what's inflation, what might be inflated to me might not be inflated to David because we buy different things.
Yes.
Right? So there you go. He's all electric. I'm electric and gas. You know.
Hey, apparently Avro nearly laid a. Sorry, Avro, I'm prone to do that sort of thing now and again, you know. But when people are too stupid to understand, there's nothing really devolved while the purse strings are being held out with Scotland. Nothing is truly devolved.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, rather going on Hamilton West by-election, SNP and Labour both confident of the win. What do you make of that?
Well, you know, it's like Labour are actually seeing this as being
sorry, your cat.
Yeah, the big chance to grab Scotland back again. I'm not sure. I think the SNP, if they were able to come out and get noisy about the news that there is no such thing as Scottish Labour, that might surprise a few folk.
And you're welcome, Margaret. If me and David going on a rant here and there saves you kicking in your telly, saying that right enough, that might be bad for the economy. You know, kicking in your telly, it means you're not going to buy a new one. Yeah, and that means Mr. McGlumfer, who works in the telly factory, is not getting to make a new one.
And that means Mrs. McGlumfer can't buy a new carpet. You know, it all goes on like that, you see. So,
anyway, with inflation and Mrs. McGlumfer, but we'll leave her away in the news. So, Hamilton, we're going to Hamilton, the SNP are confident, Labour are confident, this is going to be a close spot, it's going to be a close match.
Personally, I think SNP are going to lose this time. You know, it's always hard. A by-election is hard for the incumbent anyway. Yeah, certainly the party that's making up government. It's like if there's a by-election happens, the chances are they're going to lose. And in this one, because of the situation where Margaret Ferrier lost her seat,
David, you're barking up the wrong tree here. This will be fought on local issues.
Do you know something? I think they'll go at the door, they'll talk to whoever comes to the door, right? Okay, right.
Yeah. Well, you know, Candace many doors.
And then they'll walk away for the door and they'll sit back down their TV and they'll go, I'm still going to vote such and such, no matter what.
I know that. I've said that many times here. I've canvassed many areas and chapped many doors.
Yeah, so
that's what cracks me up with these people that run the odd marches claiming to be the grassroots. I wonder how many of them spend as many time chapping doors as I have. I wonder how many of them are actually political activists in the actual known term of political activists.
It's the best if you want training to hone your political muscle. The best way to do it is at somebody's front door.
Right.
And you know, it's like the time when I did it the most was my run up to the 2014 referendum. I didn't.
Well, I'll need to address this one for Gordon and we'll need to move on because the two of them are confident. We'll see where it goes. What if it's wee Mrs. McGlumfer's door? Wee Mrs. McGlumfer's voting for independence. We don't worry about what's a wee Mrs. McGlumfer's door. But as I say, people seem to have a different idea today of what a political activist is. You know, organising a march is activism. That's for sure. Going on that march, to a lesser degree, is activism. Chapping doors every day and asking people's opinions, that's mere political activism. Answering people's problems. Yeah. But I mean, I keep hearing people saying, the grassroots this, the grassroots that. The grassroots isn't definable. And anybody claiming to be the grassroots, I won't bow your heat. We're all the grassroots. Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes.
Right, so the by-election, let's move on. Right, strikes in Scotland. Scottish Government to pump another 80 million taken for ring fence funds for other things to try and avert strikes in the schools next week in Scotland. What do you think?
Hats off to them. Seriously, hats off to them.
Yes,
they're making the effort that the Tories are not. Yeah, and it's like if at that point the council still managed to make it whereby these teachers go out and strike, or the
janitors and dinner ladies and that do it.
Right, teacher assistants and all the rest of it, right? Still go out and strike, then I've got to say, well, that's wrong. That 80 million could be enjoyed by all the people that's working these positions. Yeah? Something like
80 million across the council areas, I say, it's come out of other. This is how it always works, folks. Right? Yeah. If the Scottish Government said to dig 80 million up to make another pay offer, hopefully, to the liking of the trade unions, which are generally Labour affiliated too, then that means there's 80 million quid coming out of public services elsewhere.
Which would be better is if we actually took all the councils under central control of the government. Then you could cut out all the chief execs and all the rest of it, right? Their wages, because they would be taken in. The chief execs are generally on minimum 150 grand a year, and there's 32 councils. Well, there you go, there's another chunk.
You're arguing.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, it's like, I just see councils as a whole department.
Anyway, hopefully by tomorrow we'll find out whether this improved offer will be accepted or not. And the time drive time comes on, in fact it is on, we'll know what the improved offer is, but because you and I are broadcasting, we can't hear it at this point in time. Right, so let's hope the school strikes can be averted, because if not, they start next week. Right, let's move on. A minimum unit pricing could be rising to 65 pence a unit from 50 pence per unit. Now, we've had 3 big studies into this saying it's working.
Yeah.
So, and as a health issue.
I did think the interesting one was, I think it was a comment from one of the universities that said, in actual fact, due to inflation, the 50 pence is now only worth 41 pence as being minimum, because of the fact that the cost of the bottle has gone up, right? So therefore, the 65p increase is actually maybe only 10p more. Yeah. So in real terms, yeah.
In real terms, but let's get down to what it will do if it comes in. If this is voted through Parliament, it comes in April. Let's hope to see what it will do to alcohol prices in general, shall we?
Well, and let's hope Alistair Jackboots doesn't hit the Section 35 button again.
No, he's not. This has been through the courts now. Westminster will keep their neck out of this one. This is already passed. Well, let's have a look at it anyway.
I think he would try if he could.
No, I don't know if you can see this, folks, so I'll read it. Type of alcohol, whiskey, 70 centilitre bottle at 40% ABV, which very little of them are, most of them at 37.5, would go from £14 a bottle to £18.20. A bottle of vodka, 70 centilitre bottle of vodka at 37.5 ABV, would go for £13.13 to £17.06. A 500 millilitre can of lager at 4% will go from £1 to £1.30. A bottle of cider, a 1 litre bottle of cider at 5% would go for £2.50 to £3.25. And red wine, a 70 centilitre bottle at 12.5% ABV would go from £4.69 to £6.09. Now, not exactly massive.
You have to imagine that things like this with a minimum alcohol pricing, and even down to the safe shoot up areas where people can go and use drugs, right? They're not an answer to everything all in themselves. They are a part of a whole range of things that can be put in place to help people get off of their addiction.
But it's interesting watching the comments on this one. It's 24 quid a litre of bells and Asda the new. Used to be 20 quid at inflation rate, And for fuck's sake, Urwally's Bucket's going to cut back the amount he drinks. That's the whole point, so it's working.
Yes.
The whole point is to get you to drink less.
Yeah, and
look, everyone's changing to wine to lager. Actually, very few bottles of wine are above 12.5% ABV, so there'll be no change.
Really. I've had two stunningly really bad addictions in my life. One is alcohol. One was nicotine. I gave it up last August, right?
Aye.
And the other one is medication, drugs, painkillers. Now, that fella there, he helped me get off the blooming painkillers. Yeah, because I nearly died, and he got me to the hospital, right? But it wasn't anything to do with the painkillers; to do with something else. But the nicotine, I got off it August last year, and now I've got what they call intermittent claudication of my femoral arteries running down my legs. In other words, it bloody well hurts to walk. And I'm a sound engineer, and a sound engineer has to walk to earn a living, right?
Folks, if you don't know that the extra taxes charged at minimum unit pricing, yep, it goes to the UK Treasury. It then goes to the UK Treasury back to us.
Yeah. So, therefore, the idea of you drinking less, it's a good thing. It really is. Because people do.
The whole point of put it up is to reduce harms from alcohol.
Yeah.
And as the 50 pence rate was actually making an impact, the 65 pence rate, especially on the cost of living crisis, might well have a bigger impact. And it could well, we could see Scotland's relationship with alcohol actually change for the better.
Yeah.
Right. But somebody better send Sarah a memo because she likes a wee tipple. Right, the GRR case got wound up today, David.
Yes.
It's up to Lady Haldane now. The ball's in her court.
Yeah.
The UK's advocate, the UK's lawyer, if you like, he more or less says that it's part of the Scotland Act. We're within our rights to use it.
Yeah.
But nobody was arguing that was the case in the first place. What they were arguing was they were right to use it.
Yes. In other words, the point is being made by Dorothy, if I be so bold, is that
that's Scotland's lawyer, by the way, Dorothy Bain.
Yeah, is that really it was a politically driven act.
Yes.
Bringing in Section 35,
yeah.
And whether it was or whether it wasn't, I've got to say, get me on this. I look at all these things where these bastards for the Tory party are trying to kick us in the fucking gonads all the time. The easy way is get independence by whatever means you can. And that means then, once a year, we can all take a drive to the fence that separates Scotland from England. We can all look through the chain link fence and all in one single voice laugh our fucking heads off that we got away from it.
That's not going to happen because the other cousins were going to have to look at them.
What?
I'm
not laughing at the English people. I'm laughing at the English government that will have no ability to influence what we do with our lives and our parliament.
Fair enough. Aye. Yeah, but that chain link fence is not likely to be there either.
Oh, I love the idea. Or breeze block, double, maybe triple breeze block.
This isn't the Cold War.
17-foot high.
We're building the wall, the wire, David. That's the one we need.
Top.
We maybe put a couple of stakes in with a wee fence to separate, you know, about 4 foot high with white fence posts all the way along it. Because let's face it, farmers going to be going to have to be able to open the gate to get his field in England.
And I want a bagpipe band permanently employed. Everybody that comes through that and shows off their passport to get into Scotland, from one gate to the other.
Passports for people with a common travel area, you bam. There will be the odd bit where we're going to pull motor trucks there and check. Remember, that's my friends and family next door. Still try other fields. It's not their fault they keep voting for idiots.
Hey, but they keep on mentioning about rebuilding Hadrian's Wall. Do you realise how much extra land that gives? And also, it gets to Newcastle Airport. Newcastle Airport goes with it. Yeah? Hey, there you go.
Anyway, the evidence has been given in the GRR bill. Dorothy Baines argued that they were out of order. They haven't taken into consideration evidence from elsewhere, and the fact that that the 2010 Equalities Act can't be changed, but the 2004 pension with law on the fact that Scotland has the devolved right to do this. But
I think it's a crying shame that we have people who have maybe got it in their heads that they're in the wrong body, as it were, right?
David, if I was you, I'd get up ranting, because they're all saying you're channeling Trump.
And these people have to go to a doctor and go through 2 years of
Maggie, we're not finished yet. Stick about for the crime figures.
Proving that they want to be a man if they're a woman, all the rest of it, right? I think that's sad. If you want to be a man or a woman, then fine, that's okay, get on. And that's what the GRR bill does.
Thomas, if we were going to put a wall, we wouldn't be using aerated concrete, I can assure you. Anyway, that's enough of your nutcase ideas, Milligan. Let's go to some hard facts. Moving on, folks, with the GRR.
I was on the phone to Trump the other night there, and he said, Dave, seriously, you've got to get that law bill.
Anyway, let's move on to the GRR bill, which is the court case has been heard. Lady Haldane's away to consider the outcome. She'll give a written outcome sometime in the future. Okay. Yeah. Right, recorded crime totals remain below pandemic levels for 2019. Right. Recorded total crimes for the year 2022 to 2023 was 292,702. This is up 2% on June 2021 to 2022, but still 4% lower than pre-pandemic 2029 figures, which is the best comparison figures we have.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it's quite a mixed report, but on the whole, crime is still very low. Non-sexual or violent crimes down on 2022, but up on 2019 by 4%.
Yeah.
So down in 2022 by 2%, but up on the last real comparable figures, which was 2019. Okay.
What about the one that would occur to everybody? Shoplifting.
Well, that's the non-sexual crimes. That's probably where it's went up. Shoplifting.
Yeah, that's. If people are struggling that much, they'll turn to doing something like that, you know. And it's a crying shame. If somebody gets caught woman pinching a loaf of bread, you know, it's like, my goodness me. You look back in history and people getting sent abroad for blooming stealing a loaf of bread.
Actually, you might have a point there.
What's that?
He says, Davy, I don't know why you're so concerned about the English people, because they don't give a damn about you. They keep voting Tory.
Good point.
Right, anyway, let's move on to sexual crime. Sexual crime is down on the year 2021 to 2022, but it was 8%, 2022 to 2023, but it's 8% higher than in 2019. and that's mainly due to the reporting of historical sex crimes. Right.
Yeah.
Now, here's the one that doesn't surprise us, David. Crimes of dishonesty is up 7% on 2022. But what it does...
What do you mean by crimes of dishonesty? Explain to everybody.
That's things like fraud.
Right, okay. Like Nicola Sturgeon and all the rest of it were involved with. Is that right? Yeah.
Did they know Nicola was involved in any frauds?
I'm only kidding. I'm down.
Sunak and his mum were up to doing that road.
Absolutely.
With their VIP lane, which has been declared illegal by the High Court. That's fraudulent use of taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
79 billion quid wrote off doing that road. Our money, 7.9 billion of Scottish people's money. In a fraudulent COVID capers.
So when are we going to see an end to this investigation?
Don't know, but anyway, crime in the whole, crimes of dishonesty is up 7% in 2022, but down 7% on 2019, so the figures stay the same.
Yeah.
Public order crimes of damage and reckless behaviour are also down by 5% on 2022 and 5% on 2019, so the figures there have held steady. So public order offences are low. So all in all, 2022, June 2022 to June 2023 was another record low when it comes to crime in Scotland. In fact, Angela Constantine, the Minister for the Justice Minister, has basically come out and said, this is brilliant. Recorded crime still at an all-time low here in Scotland. And what's great is the clear-up rate with Police Scotland's actually quite good as well, David. So
I think that's wonderful, but we should be looking at the other side of that coin, which is where the Crown Office tries to bring charges against people that are so obviously innocent.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing about this guy making the report in Manchester. Making the report in Manchester might be handed to the Scottish Police to investigate. Right, and as we know, Operation Blanchflower is about to be shut down. It's up to £800,000 now. It's been gone for 2 years now, and they haven't done a bloody thing right.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's cost more than the amount of money they're looking for. 600,000 was what they were looking for. It's cost £800,000 to run the investigation.
360 and rising because it's no shut yet. Anyway, the Good Law Project are saying that Sunak is closing routes to take the VIP lane individuals to court. That's very true. That is true.
Yeah.
Right, so all in all, law and order, crime and crime clear-up rate here in Scotland is far better than it is in other parts of the UK. And it's a testament to the Scottish people that will win. Why burn their own house down? Why battle each other? Why commit crime against each other? And it is a safe place to live, folks. It's a safe place to be.
All right. Yeah, all right.
Anyway, that's our final subject for the day, David, and we're a couple of minutes over. And as you know, I start work in 58 minutes. Sarah's in the kitchen getting the dinner. Put out the new traditional role. No, I do it as well. Cook. It just so happens that I'm broadcasting today.
It's just I can't get that image in my head. You and a fucking penny. Oh man, honestly. Hey.
Right, folks, remember all under one banner march this weekend in Falkirk. If you can make it, please. And Chain of Freedom gets signed up to it. www.chainoffreedom.scot.
That's most important. We've got to make Chain of Freedom work.
Thanks very much for your kind contribution to the Food Bank Fund today, folks. And if you like what we do, please hit the like button. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. And share across your social media platforms, please. That just leaves one thing left to say, Davey.
Bye, Davey. Bye, guys.
Bye, folks. Bye, Davey.